Welcome back, everyone, to the best podcast in New York. This episode of the Assassin Cast is for the week of July 15th, 2018. And we apologize. We'll get into that. I'm Jeremy Malaspina, accompanied by my co-host, good friend, and the man of the hour, Dan McCarthy.
It's good.
What's up? All right, and in this episode, we're going to be going over the following topics, and for us, the second time for some of these topics. So we had some really bad technical issues, so before we go through the topics, we apologize in advance. We are a week behind. We know we're a week behind. We feel shitty about it, but hey, you know, we had to do what we had to do.
Life goes on.
Life does go on. So let's talk about the topics, and we'll talk about what's going on in life, and then we'll get with the best podcast in New York. All right, so first up on the movies for the second time in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about Keanau Reeves.
There you go.
Still can't say his name, and we talked about this topic last time. He slips under our radar with his new movie, Siberia. We talk about what it is and if it looks good. And then also we are going to be discussing the Netflix movie Extinction, which is an apocalyptic situation that revolves around Michael Pena from Ant-Man. Pena, there you go. Pena. All right, from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Ant-Man, the first installment. We explained the storyline in the trailer. And this is a new topic we added, which would be in our 20th episode, but it's not. We're talking Glass with Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, and who's that other dude's name? You remember?
Professor X.
Yeah, pretty much. Professor X, yeah. All right, so we're going to be talking about this superhero movie that's not quite a superhero movie. So we'll tell you what the fuck we're talking about, because it's hard to explain what it is, but we will. We'll explain the trailer. So that's new for this week. And then the last topic of the movies is pretty interesting. This one is interesting. After 20 years, we get a sequel to The Shining, which the screenplay is based directly off a Stephen King book that he wrote to follow up The Shining. And it's called Dr.sleep. So we'll explain what the sequel is, what the story is about, and we'll get into that also. Then later on in gaming, for the second time, we got a better look at Bethesda's Fallout 76. We took a look at gameplay, and we have a better idea and understanding of what they're shooting for. So we explain, and we give you the date of the beta when it's released. Later on in gaming, we also talk Microsoft hitting us with the big news once again on the podcast. We're going to talk their next update, and they are now going to be offering high dynamic range Dolby Vision support. We'll explain what that is and how it applies to the Xbox One and Xbox One S. One S and One X. I'm sorry, I should clarify that.
There's more than one now, yeah. It pisses me off a little bit.
Right. So this other topic is fucking great. So we're going to be talking an update from a previous podcast about loot boxes. It turns out that after the last Counter-Strike Go update, Belgium and Netherlands players cannot open loot boxes anymore, and we explain why. So I'm going to talk that too. And the last topic of the gaming section is Dan is getting a new rig. He explains why he wants to upgrade his PC and what it's going to take to get him up to par. And if we have time, I might not want to wait till episode 20 to talk about the Love ROMs. This has been like all over the news the last couple days for the week that we're talking about this week. They're actually they're getting sued by Nintendo for like 140 something properties that they are distributing online. So that is a very controversial topic. We'll see if we can get to it. If we can't, we will definitely talk about it next week for the 20th episode. So let's talk about our life real quick, which is never really anything special, but I have some news. What about you? What's going on in the world of
Nothing much with this guy, just working a lot, getting extra money to get that rig together, which I'll talk about at the end of the podcast for everybody.
Right.
on.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, you're doing overtime, though, right?
Yeah. Got to get that money. It's
That's
a lot of money to upgrade a PC.
Oh, yeah, it is. That is for sure. But, you take it when you get it. And,
Exactly. That's the best part of it. Like I
yeah,
said, that'll be stuff that I get into, but that's really what I've been focusing on the last like 10 days.
right. And the reason we are an episode behind is because since Dan has been taking overtime and his hours changed, I actually been taking overtime as well, and my hours changed. So we couldn't redo the last episode when we wanted to. It didn't work out because I was actually at a new job interview and I got that job. So a lot of changes coming this way. So yeah, I'm happy about it. It's a good look. It's good.
Hopefully, we'll get him a new mic, guys. So
Yeah.
let's get rid of this headset he's wearing. We'll get him where he needs to be. We'll
Right.
start teaching a little bit about PC and.
Well, that's the whole thing. Maybe since we're getting to episode 20, we might redo the format a little bit. Maybe we'll be together in the upcoming podcasts. We'll have nice mics. We'll work on it. Now that I got a little bit more breathing room, I can bring the podcast up to par. Oh, by the way.
Make sure your girl's not there when she hears that.
Yeah. Nah, she knows. She already knows. By the way, Long Island Retro Gaming Expo is coming. We're like a month away, baby. It's coming soon. Yep. So we will be there. We'll be there. We'll have merch and all kinds of shit that our 8 people, if they show up, they will buy.
I don't think anybody's flying in from Indonesia. So
yeah, I don't think they're coming from Indonesia, but it's all right.
You guys do, though. We're there for you.
Right. You will be able to meet us there. We will be there. There's also another expo that we're not a part of, which is a video game con. That's in New Jersey. Me and Dan are going to discuss about possibly going to the Meadowlands in September. So that's like the following month. So maybe if you don't catch us there, we'll be walking around checking out the expo at the Meadowlands and the video game con. So we'll see. We'll see about that. So that's it for news. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on right now in the world of the...
it's Dog Days of August coming up, guys. We know what that is.
The world of our lives that has nothing to do with the podcast. It actually affects the podcast, and we're a little bit more understanding now about that. So we're going to try and stay on track. So anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into this wonderful second take of episode 19. Listen, it was great. We had great segues. Dan was fucking killing it. Oh my God.
And he never recorded me.
His mic was totally off. You know what's funny? I saw on Podcast Movement that somebody else had the same problem, and I just shook my head. I couldn't even put a comment down. It pissed me off so bad. Now, I was actually thinking about releasing the bloopers last week, but I wanted to do the 20th episode first, and then maybe in between 20 and 21, we'll put the bloopers out, because I was so mad in that, and that's going to be hysterical for the bloopers. So we got a lot of good stuff happening, so that's good. All right, so let's talk about Keanau.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. He slips right under our radar, Mr. John Wick himself, with his new movie, Siberia. We're going to talk about what it is. So what it is, I'll talk about it first, then Dan can rip it apart. All right, so, because that's pretty much how it went last time, which we only have one side of the audio. So pretty much Siberia takes place around John Wick himself, Keanu Reeves. I want to say John Wick so bad just because I fuck his name up terribly.
You got it good there, don't worry, man.
All right, so Keanu Reeves, he is like a diamond expert. And I guess he gets involved with the Russian mafia, and somehow a fake diamond gets, slips past him, and he doesn't realize it at first. And it has something to do with the Russian mafia. They don't go too much in depth in the trailer of what exactly happens, but it ends up backfiring on him, and he knew it was coming. And, it's the typical low-budget movie. They're shooting people in the woods. It's got, lately these Russian mafia-type movies for Keanu Reeves have been working out, because John Wick is awesome. And like we said last time we recorded this episode, he's actually, what was the word I was going to say? We've been giving these updates, and we are on top of the news to the point where when we talked about the next John Wick movie, which was 7 fucking podcasts ago, we had the title for you. So if you've been paying attention to the podcast, you already knew what the next John Wick title is. It is Parabellum. and that was all through last week's news. So it was kind of funny. We were like ahead of the game. So what I'm trying to say is he does well in these sorts of movies with this Russian mafia type shit. So I gotta hand it to him on that. But for the most part, I'm not really sure about this. There was no marketing, and the reason it made it to the podcast is because it's interesting because it's not only in movies, but you can rent it on iTunes. So that's how movies. I have a feeling that's where they're going now. You know,
Yeah, we talked about that. I think that is where they're
right?
going to shift towards because, like, people would say, "I'll still spend $10, let's say, to watch a movie," but also you now have the freedom to watch that movie that's out in the theaters, let's say, and watch it at your home. You don't have to go to the movie theater to watch something like this that you might be like, it could be good,
Right.
but I'm not in the mood to sit in the movie theater and spend 3, 4 hours of my night trying to do it when I can just pop it in, fucking chill, and then go to sleep if that's the case and that's what you want to do. But
Especially
again, if that is the case, I think that the fucking headline on this should be "Don't waste your goddamn money." Because, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a good movie. It's just another. It's like a filler. It's the same movie that he's been playing, and it's just in a different fucking title.
right.
It looks like you said. It's like a John Wick esque, except now he's a diamond trader instead of a fucking assassin.
Assassin. Yeah.
Because he can still shoot like John Wick. Don't worry. I don't know. Like I said to you, it's just another remake of another fucking
Of another
same
movie, or
fucking movie.
right. And honestly, to be honest, like the good thing about it being on iTunes is this is like a gamble because there was no marketing. The trailer doesn't really speak to you like most trailers do, where like for instance, the Equalizer 2, which is going to be we're going to give an update on that on episode 20 for the
It's now
movie
playing
section.
now.
Yeah, it's now playing now. It's doing very well. But in that trailer, we knew exactly what was going on, and we knew that it was going to be a good movie. This one, it's kind of like it doesn't really fucking give you any answers of what the fuck's going on. So it's like you're taking a gamble. And now, if we'll give you an example, me and Dan are working crazy overtime right now. We're getting out of work late. We barely have a fucking weekend to do the podcast, let alone go sit in the movie theater for 3 hours on a movie we have
That's
no
why
idea.
catching it at your place might be better.
Right. It gives you an option, another
Let
option.
me get it in 4K and fucking watch it in my on my couch or in my bed and watch some movies like that. It's not the end of the world. I know that's why we have streaming boxes. I'm sure anybody that listens has those too. But again, I can't get those in 4K.
Exactly.
So that's where they're getting my $10, and I'd probably be more willing to spend that. And again, that's just a rough estimate because obviously IMAX movies are like $16 or $18 or whatever,
Right.
$20 for those recliner seats. But I mean, that's not a bad way to go. But I think then you might just altogether kill the movie theater business, and I don't know if they want to do that altogether.
Yeah, but a lot of times
Or
they're
like
making money.
maybe
in the
like
box
a
office.
month after it comes out, it's available.
Yeah.
You know, they could. There's ways to fucking do it. Like if you want, and again, I'm sure people will agree. There are movies that I want that full experience and that a full immersion, because no matter how your setup is at home, it'll never equal the movie theater. But so there are certain movies that I want to see like that. But still, there are other ones that I don't give a fuck about any of that, and I can just watch it in my house. That's pretty sick.
Exactly. So I mean, having that option's awesome.
But we'll see. I know we sidetracked because.
Well,
shit.
Yeah, right. Right. We're not giving it a total shit on right now because obviously we don't even know. Oh, I'm not. I'm giving Keanu, whatever his fucking name
Keanu,
is.
you said it right the first time.
Keanu.
Backtrack and fucking
God damn it. Keanu Reeves.
Mr. Reeves.
I'm giving him the fucking benefit of the doubt because I like him as an actor. I hope it does okay, but this is not something we're running to the movies to go see. So
Exactly.
that's our take on it. Obviously, our listeners might think differently. Who the fuck knows? You know, so let's see how it does. I think it's out right now as we speak, so we'll see. But what's interesting is I have been seeing some marketing now, but it's like after the fact. It's like supposed to do the marketing before, you know, like drum up excitement, get people in there, but they're not doing that. So it's
No, not doing that in a lot of movies, you know?
Right.
Even like what they said. But again, that opens it up. Like we watch all these movies on iTunes and stuff like that, which is now creating this market for Netflix, where
Exactly.
Netflix is making these movies like the one we're going to talk about next that just, you don't have to go to the movie theater all the time to watch a lot of these things. Sometimes
Right.
it's better. You want the experience of being home. You don't have the fucking time. What if you got kids? You got no babysitter. Like there's so many different things that could come in the way of you doing it. So sometimes that helps.
Exactly. So let's talk about the next topic here. So the next topic on the list is the Netflix movie Extinction, which is an apocalyptic situation that revolves around Michael Pena from Ant-Man. Fucking and the Wasp. We are going to explain the storyline. So, like you're saying, so now this is a Netflix movie, right? So now you don't got to go sit in the movie theaters to watch a good looking movie, because now from what we saw in the trailer, this looks pretty interesting. So I guess Dan, you could give them the background about it. Real
Yeah,
quick.
for this movie, I like it because, again, unfortunately, it is one of those it is one of these revolving storylines we've been seeing. Like I talked about last time, you get a little bit of zombies was big for like 3 years. Now we're moving more into this apocalyptic sense, and that's what you see on this one. But for this, the main character that Michael Pena plays, he's talking about the monotony of life and how it's the same thing for him. It's waking up, going to work, spending time with his family, doing it again.
Right.
But he's also got troubles. By troubles, I mean he's actually having nightmares that seem extremely realistic to him about watching people die, his own family, his friends, the world, blah, blah, blah. So he keeps waking up, and his wife's pushing him to get help. And what ends up finally happening is an apocalyptic sense does happen where aliens, I'm presuming from the trailer, come down and start killing everybody. He then realizes that the dreams he has were actually premonitions of the future.
Right. It was
So
foreshadowing what was happening. Yeah.
So it's up to him now to guide his family. Seems to be the main focus for him of getting to safety. But who knows as the movie progresses, is he going to save humanity? Or is it just talk more about, which would be an interesting, excuse me, play of it would be in an apocalyptic sense. Would you really worry about everybody?
Right.
Or would we focus solely on our own immediate close family and friends, and then fuck the rest of the world, focus on yourselves?
Right. I mean, in a sense, you would think you'd be selfish about it. Like, family comes first, and then, you
Absolutely.
know.
I think a lot of people would, even though we don't like to talk about that.
Right. I mean, and that always gives you the question of, like, what would I do in this situation? And that's why a lot of these movies like this, that's why it keeps occurring. That's why we had, like, The Walking Dead, and then this. And last week, what did we talk about? How It Ends was on, I think, episode 18 we did. How It Ends, another apocalyptic situation when he's going to pick up his girl, his fiance. So, I mean, like, you know, that's what's selling, because it gives you that question of, you know, what would you do in this? And speaking of The Walking Dead, this was probably would have been on the topic list. You know, they're going into their last season with Andrew Lincoln playing Rick Grimes. So that's a whole side topic on there. We just shoot that out there so people know. Since we're behind.
That show's been dead for years.
Right, it's been dragged out, and you know he loves that character. And I saw a little something from him the other day on a side note that he said that, like, he's not finished with the character, but that's it. He's done. At the end of the season, he's going to be gone. So, and so would the show most likely. But anyway, so now Extinction, it looks really good. I like what Netflix is doing with these properties, man. They're coming up with new ideas that, with good actors, they're getting their paycheck out of it, and it looks fucking good. It looks good.
I think we talked about it last time. Netflix has 104 million subscribers worldwide.
So
that's
now,
incredible. That's an incredible amount of people that you could reach, whether it's through, like you said, the advertising just rolling onto Netflix,
right?
Or, like I said, just like for somebody that, like Michael Pena, like I said, we know who he is. I've seen him in other movies, like I told you. So I've seen him in serious roles as well. I think he was just in The Martian.
Yeah.
I remember he was in The Martian. He played like a supporting actor role. I've seen him in The Lucky Ones, which is a movie about Marines that come home. So he's done, he's done a few movies here and there. But this might be exactly what he needs. You're not going to probably see movies with like mainstream, like top end actors in it, but that's not the point of it.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's when they're working their way to being those big times. That's when you get the best movies.
Now, like, if he does good in this role, it opens up the door for him to do other blockbuster-esque movies.
Exactly.
You know, so like that's why doing stuff on Netflix is good. Like, even all the Marvel series that we've talked over and over about, all those actors now could be, doing stuff with Marvel. You never know where they're going to institute those characters later. And, they all did a good job playing their role for the most part. I know Danny Rand was a little shaky, the guy that played Danny Rand, but he looked really good in Luke Cage. So now it's definitely going to open up doors for them later on in their career after the series come to an end. So, yeah, I mean, and we were talking about on, the first time we recorded this, that 104 million subscribers, not everybody is going to be watching Extinction.
Of course.
But it's going to have a banner because they're going to push this since it's their own property, and it's going to be at the top when you first log on to your Netflix, and at least every person that goes on their Netflix is going to see Extinction at the top, and then if it catches
10%
you,
of that watch it. That's 10 million people.
right? So
Think about that.
it's definitely a boost for his career. So I'm happy. I'm excited to see that. So obviously we'll see what happens as it gets closer to coming out. Huh? Is it out even yet? No, I think it's you said the end of the summer.
No, I think it's still it's not till August if I remember correctly.
Right. So you still got another month to catch it. So keep an eye on your Netflix for you guys out there listening that want to catch up with that. So let's move on to this next. The next two are interesting topics now.
Yeah.
Now that we changed some shit around. All right, so the next topic was a really interesting movie that Dan included on this week's Assassin Cast. So this movie, Glass, is with Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, and as Dan likes to say, Professor X, the young Professor X.
Yep.
All right, the guy that was in Split, which we'll get into why Split makes sense to explain him anyway. So now, it's not a traditional superhero movie like you would think Marvel with Iron Man or even mutant-wise like X-Men. It's not like the traditional superhero, which is interesting. So when superhero movies are hot, here you come with Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis to give you a superhero movie that's not quite a superhero movie, which is really fucking interesting.
All play on the old ones that they made,
Right.
This movie is the culmination of two previous movies, all by the same director, as well as this one, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah,
He's
right.
So that's what I said. That's what rolls it.
Mm-hmm. So I guess like a little backstory is this lady is the head of a new, I guess, research group to figure out people that think they're a superhero, like that she thinks it's all in their head. And her three clients are Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, and the dude from Split, right? I don't know why I can't think of his fucking name for the life of me, but
doesn't matter.
You'll know who the fuck we're talking about. So now what's interesting is the dude from Split is actually playing the same role. It's almost like a continuation of his movie.
It is a
because
continuation.
You don't really know what happens to him at the end of Split anyway. Right.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. It is a continuation of all those movies.
So it's a continuation of all these movies. They get all put together, and obviously Bruce Willis is able to like punch through steel. He gets his powers by feeling the person that he's, I guess, looking for or something like that. He has to make contact with them physically, like bumping into them or something.
You've seen the first movie. No, like I said, this is based off of Unbreakable. So Unbreakable was a movie with Bruce Willis, and Samuel L. Jackson was in this movie as well. Samuel L. Jackson was, as he called himself, Mr. Glass in the first movie. He called himself that because he suffered from a genetic disease that made his bones extremely brittle. So by doing so, he got really into comic books. And by his standards there, he wanted to find out if there was somebody, if he was on one end of the spectrum where he was really brittle, was there somebody on the opposite end of the spectrum that was really strong?
Yeah.
So he actually caused, spoiler if you haven't fucking seen it, which came out like 10 years ago, so it's your fault, people. Unbreakable, he causes all these all these accidents to try and wait for that one time he would hear a sole survivor, which he did with Bruce Willis's character.
Right.
So Bruce Willis, like you're saying, he's not necessarily a superhero in the same sense as we watch these movies, but he does have, like, he doesn't get hurt. He has all this strength, and he has the weakness, like everybody has, where he's weak to water.
Exactly.
So that movie finishes with them, and then Split was the one that he made with the guy called Split because he had 12 personalities.
Right. Yeah.
And one personality was like his superhuman personality.
Right.
So she wants to interview the three of them and see why do they think they feel this way, and it's suddenly they start to realize, like, well, fuck, maybe they don't really think it. Maybe they
really
like
are.
I said, it's not so. Yeah, again, it's like the way the movie goes. It's not so much that they're superheroes. It's just that they have abilities. They have abilities above what we would. So it's not like Bruce Willis is fucking, flying around like Rogue or fucking turned into
Can you imagine?
Exactly.
My god, that'd be funny.
He's got his strength, and he also has the ability where if he touches somebody, he can see a glimpse of their inner self, like some of the horrible things that they've done.
Right.
And that's what he ends up doing.
And he's able to protect someone. They might.
Now you're gonna have Sam L, who was, like he said last time. Did you ever notice he said it in the movie Unbreakable that they're actually that in a lot of comics the bad guy and the villain and the superhero are actually friends, which they started out as. Right. So he's supposed to be the villain because he's this Dr. Doom-esque, like he's just, he wants to fucking end the world.
Right. So it looks pretty good from what I
I
saw in the
think it looks.
trailer. I think it's done very well. It's
We've
continuation
been
of
waiting for
these
this for a while.
stories, right, that we wanted to see. So it looks good. I don't know if they gave us a date. Oh, it's 2019. They didn't give a date yet, right?
I thought it was in when I just was watching the trailer like yesterday. I think it comes out. It might be December or January. It might be January,
Okay,
but it's
so
gonna be a little bit. But they're already like promoting it. Like that's how you get these type of movies.
right.
Like all of these guys were already on Conan. Like when Conan's been at Comic Con, so
Yeah,
he's been having his shows like there. So they've been doing. This is where this all is getting opened up. So they're starting to promote this heavy now,
right. And now
and it should be pretty good. It's something we've been waiting for.
yeah, so San Diego Comic Con is going on as we speak, and that's right. This came from there. They always release trailers at Comic Con, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so that's that. It looks good. Keep an eye out for it. Like we said, I think it's early 2019, so it's coming. A couple more months.
I think everybody will like it. Like I said.
Right. And obviously, we're always out here giving you movie news and gaming news as well. So when it gets closer to the time, I'm sure we'll do an update, just like we did for
It's another thing we always talk about. It's a
what else?
continuation on movies like the one we're gonna, like older ones. You're gonna talk it again. It rolls right into the next one, man. Because
Right.
that's what this next topic is. That's what I mean. But that's what it is. It's the same thing. Where again, we always are very critical.
Right,
When we
right,
watch
right.
these movies that are just remakes. But this one was something that we always. I remember watching it, and he always talked about it, the director M Night Shyamalan. Who's done a lot of movies like The Village. Like people that have
Mhm.
watched movies like that. He always does these weird ass ones.
Right,
He loves
right.
doing these like utopia type shit. So
Exactly.
this is a good. I think this will be a good flick for him.
It
And
is.
then
It's definitely going to be. And they're good actors. It's a good story. So that's where I'm at with it. It looks good. So definitely keep your eye out for it.
absolutely.
And we'll get to that later in early 2019. So let's move on. You had a nice segue right there into the next topic, which is
Same thing.
very interesting. So this hit the topic list 2 weeks ago because we are splitting some new and some from last episode that we didn't get out. So this isn't exactly new news, but it's pretty new. So after 20 years, we get the sequel to The Shining, which, for those who don't remember what The Shining was, is with Jack Nicholson. He's like a writer. They stay at a hotel. He fucking goes crazy and tries to kill his wife and son in the hotel. And they get snowed in. I'm sorry. That's a big part of it. So they can't really escape because they're snowed in the Alps somewhere. Something like that. All right. So that was a very good movie. It was great. One of probably the best movie horror flicks in history. So now the next screenplay is based directly off Stephen King's book he wrote to follow up The Shining, which is called Dr.Sleep. So that is a direct sequel, if I'm not mistaken. So now this is what's interesting, right? Warner Brothers decides to fast track this due to how well it did in theaters. So now that it did really fucking well, Warner Brothers is like, okay, listen, we fucking suck dick on DC Universe. We already know that.
Tell people can talk too. You saw Comic
Yeah,
Con's
right.
release the Aquaman,
Oh
another
my
dog
God.
shit DC movie.
Listen, save it
I
for
digress,
episode 20. Save it for episode 20. We'll get to that. But this is like, they're like, okay, listen, we did really good with it. It did really good numbers. Let's hit them with the follow-up to The Shining, which is Dr. Sleep. Now, for me personally, I like The Shining. And the way the story Dr. Sleep goes is it's based around Jack Nicholson's son. All right, he's older at this point, and he still has the ability to see things like he did when he was younger with the two chicks in the hallway.
Shining, yeah, that's
Right.
good.
And yeah, so he can still do that. So he goes on a mission to find other people that stayed at the hotel that have similar abilities to him. And then it like takes a turn for the worse. He's in the hospital. People are trying to get him or something like that. The story goes it gets a little dicey, which is what I didn't like too much, but I didn't read the book, so I can't really talk too much shit about it. I just think it's a really good concept to continue the story because it's been over 20 years. You would think the story would end there, but obviously you want to know what happens to the kid. Maybe
It's been like 38 years.
right. Maybe Jack Nicholson makes an appearance. You never fucking know. Well, I don't know. Did he die? I don't remember.
No,
No, he didn't die,
Jack
right?
Nicholson, go look at a Laker game, man.
No, not Jack Nicholson himself. In The Shining. In the fucking Shining.
Froze to death, dude.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. All right. So whatever. So he's not gonna make an appearance,
Yeah,
but
why not? Because there were ghosts in the first one. He could be a ghost in
yeah,
the second
that'd
one.
be fucking awesome. All right. So we'll see what happens. We'll see
Give
how
me-
that goes.
yeah.
Honestly, but I think it's a good idea. I think picking up from where they left off in The Shining, like right after, wouldn't have been a good movie. But now you're talking that kid's older. So the dynamic changes. He's trying to figure out what the fuck happened, and he's trying to find other people that are just like him. And it's making for a good movie. Honestly, we should probably look into reading the book. And they did give us a date for this. I just didn't write it down. So you want to speak about this real quick while I get us the date?
I think we're gonna have to wait and see on it. Like I've always said to you, I always get worried when they're remaking stuff that was so much older, but I did enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, and I think that this will grab the same way it grabbed me. It was a nostalgic movie for me. It scared the shit out of me when I was younger. So I think for this movie, it's gonna go the same way. Not so much that it scared the shit out of people, but there's a cult following to it. So
Right.
you'll be able to grasp that and hopefully grab a minute amount of people that'll come watch it that are new to it, and next thing you know, it gets a big following yet again. I think it'll do just as good as it did. I don't think it like broke box office records, but it definitely did well.
It definitely did good.
You know what I mean? And I liked it. I did. I went and saw it. I think I told you I think like the first week it was out because I
It-
wanted to make my niece who loves horror movies. I always wanted to make her watch the original, and she
Right.
would. And then when she saw that one, like they did a good few good scenes with that guy's looks like a lunatic.
Yeah, I
The
know.
actor that played him, so it was pretty good.
That's so funny. So now the director of Dr.Sleep is Mike Flanagan.
Oh yeah,
He did other movies, which we have here.
all horror you had down. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all horror. He did other Stephen King novel movies also. He did some stuff on Netflix, The Haunting of Hill House, that's on Netflix. Ouija, Origin of Evil, Before I Wake, also Before I Wake. They don't give us a date, but I'm pretty sure it's for later on this year, 2019. I'm sorry, for 2019. It's not going to be during the end of this year. And the book Doctor Sleep actually wasn't written after The Shining, like directly after. Stephen King didn't write that book till 2013.
Yeah, like only 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Right. So I guess they see it as like, okay, this is gonna make money for us, so let's do an adaptation to the movie because you're gonna get the older heads that remembered it from the 80s, the original Shining,
Yep.
that kind of want to get some closure to it, maybe, and then you're gonna capture the newer horror buffs to go and see that also. So I guess it's a good marketing scheme to continue that movie in particular. I just think it's cool that they're going to continue the story. I think that's awesome.
Yep, we'll see. That's what I
Right.
said.
We'll see.
It's a little early for us now, but we'll get an idea as we
Yeah.
get later.
So we know it's getting fast tracked. So obviously it'll make its way back to the podcast, I'm sure, because we're going to see trailers. I mean, there's going to be a trailer for this, no matter what. So once we start seeing trailers and a date and stuff like that, we'll give an update to it. But that's definitely something good to look forward to. So that's it for the movie portion of this week's Assassin Cast. And thank God Dan's microphone is fucking on this time. Holy shit.
Oh my god. I would have killed him.
Holy fuck. So yeah. So if you guys are signing out, tune in next week for the 20th episode. Me and Dan are going to be together. We're going to have a good topic list to go through with you guys.
God, that sounded horrible, but okay.
What?
No, you're echoing, so it's like we're gonna be together.
Oh, thank God they don't hear that going. Yeah, we're going to be together. For next week's Assassin Cast. All right, so moving on to gaming. So peace out, movie heads. Moving on into gaming. All right. First topic on the list is we got a better look at Bethesda's Fallout 76. We took a look at gameplay, and we have a better idea of what they're shooting for and what they're going for their multiplayer sense of this game. So, me and Dan, I guess a couple weeks ago, we did our E3 episode where we discussed a lot of stuff that we both thought we should talk about on the podcast. And Fallout 76 was definitely on there. We didn't go too in depth on it because we weren't really sure of how they were going to pull off a multiplayer. That was one of the things. So now, for this podcast, this episode, for episode 19, we took a look deeper into Fallout 76. We see what the actual multiplayer really is going to be and how it applies to the storyline for the game. So, Dan, you want to talk about it, or you want me to explain it real quick, how the multiplayer is?
I think you looked like you looked a little more into it as far as what was going on with it.
Right.
I was just trying to see how it's going to differ when we look at it from a PC and a gaming
Right.
console concept.
Yeah. So now the way the multiplayer works is, it's going to be an open map, right? And it looks beautiful. Now, first things first, Bethesda did a great job on the scenery, the trees.
They always do.
They do. They did a great fucking job. I love Bethesda, obviously, for other reasons, but it's a very good looking game. Now, it's going to be strictly multiplayer, which is why we didn't talk about it. So now the multiplayer is going to be an open world, and you're going to be doing stuff, and you're going to be running into other people that are also playing the game online. So now they could either be hostile or they might not be. So now, when we first talked about this topic last week, we were discussing how it's always going to be hostile. People are going to always be coming to try and take your shit. Right. But the whole thing about it is, yeah, you might run into hostile people, but you might end up fighting somebody, fighting for your life in the game, and then next thing you know, there's a monster or something else that's coming at you both. And it might force you to work together to defeat the monster. So obviously you're gonna have friends that own the game as well, and you're not gonna be strictly playing by yourself, but you have the ability to work with other people who are playing online to get through the storyline and play the game. I mean, it's not so much like a co-op because you're all on one map, but you're gonna have the same goals as, I guess, to survive now, in the story.
Like I said, my concern with that is the consoles, like being PlayStation, Xbox, being able to handle that server-wise.
Right.
Like, how many people could you possibly let on one map? Like, that's what people sometimes don't understand. Like, they're going to have to break that down. There's going to have to be a finite number. So when they tried that with Skyrim, they wanted to make it like, for instance, if you were playing World of Warcraft. If you were playing World of Warcraft and you're on a given server, there on that, even though the map is much bigger than Fortnite, you can put 10,000 people and not even notice a difference.
Right.
However, you cannot do that on the console games, cannot handle that. So the console is going to have a finite 30, 50, 100? I don't know. That's what they're going to find out when they open this live and they say, oh, fuck, or they're going to be like, okay, we way overshot, we overshot the moon thinking we needed to be this and we don't.
I agree with you.
I always get scared with that.
I don't think that it's going to work. I don't think every single person that pops in the Fallout 76 disc is going to be able to be on one map. I don't see that being feasible.
It's going to be servers. That's why I think it's going to be better online.
Even if it probably would be better on PC. I mean, but even if they did figure it out and they got it to be that way, this thing that scares me about Fallout 76 is I have the other Fallouts over there. I got Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. I'm missing a few, I think, over there, but I have a majority of them. But the replay value out of this, you're not going to get because it's strictly online. So if we already know that the servers aren't going to be able to handle this,
no campaign.
That's not right. That's not something I'm going to buy. A collector. I mean, you're not going to do it either. I mean, what's the replay value? Once they shut the servers down, it's a fucking frisbee. What do you just have it to look? It's like shelf candy at that point. So I'm not directly hating on it. I think buying it physical probably won't be the best idea. I mean, even getting it digital, it's going to have no purpose either way. I don't know. I guess it's your call to figure out what you want to do with it. I'm not even hating on the game itself. It looks like it could be really interesting and really fun. I mean, like if me and you were to play, we could be going
That's
through.
what we have to find out. We have to find out is like if me and you are together and you're fine and you're good. Like I said, there's a lot of games that are like that, but they're on PC. Where me and you could play as co-op, but there's nobody else that can kill us. So having the option where people could come in and kill you, I like that. Right. I like that free-for-all nature, but the key is going to be like, what is it going to be like? Is it going to be like, okay, best way to play this game is for me, Jeremy, two 2 other people to
Mhm.
join the game, and we just fucking go crazy playing like animals
Right.
until we're beasts. Then we
Exactly.
just walk around and kill any poor soul that comes in front of our path, which
Exactly.
is hilarious, but it sucks when you're on the other end of that stick.
I feel like until we actually get to sit down and
Yeah, we have
do some
one.
gameplay, we're not going to really know if, like, yeah, you can go really hostile into the situation and kill everybody, but that might not give you the best experience in gameplay. Like, the best
That's true.
experience in gameplay might be working with other people and forming a team to go through the map because it looks like it's a pretty big fucking map.
Yeah.
So that's on another side note. So like you have outside threats that come in to try and kill you, as well as other people that are out there are going to have the same thing as well. So we're going to keep our eye on it. We're going to see if it's going to play out good or not. And obviously, even when they shut the servers down, we'll talk about that also when the time comes. But I mean, for the most part, it's something to definitely look forward to because it looks great. And they're going to be putting the beta version of Fallout 76. It's going to be out November 14th. So keep an eye out for that. You might be able to beta test it and check it out for yourself. Leave a comment maybe later on. I mean, maybe even we'll get on the beta testing. We'll see how it looks. So we'll leave that at that, right? So let's move on to this next topic. And if you guys have any questions about Fallout 76, leave a comment. We'd love to hear about it. This next topic is very interesting, and we're going to talk about what it means to Microsoft Xbox One X and S users. So Microsoft is hitting us, and they make it again to the Assassin Cast with on their next update.
We'll do this already.
Yeah. So their next update is offering high dynamic range Dolby Vision support on their stream services like Netflix, and I'm assuming other stream stuff I guess you can get on there like Hulu or Amazon Prime or something like that.
Yep.
So this is really good stuff because now you're going to be able to get your streamed content in 4K. So now you have the 4K Blu-ray, right? That's coming included with the Xbox One X. I'm confused.
Well, now that's what's going to come. The Vision that they're talking about first off right now gives you the 4K in your streaming.
Right.
Which I think I said, like when I use my smart TV and I go to YouTube or Netflix, it's already going to bring it to 4K. But now I can run that through my Xbox One X.
Right.
Now what they're going to add with the Vision is going to allow you then now to put in the Blu-rays and stuff and have them play it in 4K if you have the 4K compatible disc. And again, what I told you last time when we talked about this is that all this is really means, this bit bigger, is that this is setting up for the games.
Right. That's why this hit the list. Yeah.
Aren't native in 4K. What's the word I'm looking for? We're re-releasing them in 4K, but it's still not the same.
Right.
Now you're gonna start getting straight 4K games.
Right.
Instead of people don't really know about this is when I buy a game for the One X, I'm just buying an Xbox One game. Right. It's really what I'm doing. It's just that I know there'll be a downloadable portion of that game that'll
like an update,
an update that'll allow me to see it in 4K. Now what they can do is they can create native fucking original 4K games and release it if they want.
Exactly.
Which is to me is incredible. Yeah, I don't know if that. Well, maybe it's incredible for now until they fuckers try to charge me more, which I would kill them, but they shouldn't.
I don't think they're going to. I think that they're trying to stay ahead of the curve with Sony, which we have already discussed this topic already, but it's good to do it again. That's why we didn't change it. For the fact that Sony is on top with their software, we know that for a fact. They have some really good titles that are in the making, on the way, but Microsoft is killing it right now with their hardware. So now they are releasing updated patches for older games so that you have a higher resolution and you're getting better content on their older games. But it's like you said, this Dolby Vision support, it's just another rung in their ladder to get them over the top. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got the 4K Blu-ray player in the fucking thing. Then you're going to have the stream content is going to be coming in at 4K. And they're obviously going to use the Dolby Vision for the high dynamic range Dolby Vision on their games. That's next coming. We know that for a fact.
Exactly.
So you're going to be getting native 4K discs, and you're going to have that 4K signal going right to your fucking TV. And it's going to be good. But we know that Sony has something up their sleeve. We already know they're working on the next installment of the PlayStation series. We don't know if it's going to be the 5 or it's going to have its own name. We don't really know. So they released something on it. And that's why we haven't covered it yet. We've seen other YouTube channels and articles that have no information. And that's not what we do here at the podcast. We want to give you guys straight facts. So we do know that something is coming. We know they're going to have a custom processor that's going to be made specifically for the next Sony endeavor. But right now, at this point in time, Microsoft is where it's at. They're giving you the complete 4K package. So it's only going to get better. So honestly, it's not a bad route to go with Microsoft at this point. They're on their way to having straight 4K along the boards for everything. So that's why it means a lot. That's why it means a lot to the Xbox One and X and S. So that's good. So we have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Obviously. So let's leave that at that. And that was a Forbes article, by the way. They're trying to get all these people on point. You know?
I think it's going to be, I think they're just, it's like, and I don't necessarily, I know I always bust Jeremy's balls that, like, you know, Microsoft's better than Sony. That just happens to be what I started playing. I just think consoles are coming a long way. But that's, you know, as we get more into it on the next one, next topic or two topics is when we talk about what I'm trying to build, because it's the same thing. I like the ability to upgrade what I want.
Right.
But that, you know, but then you even still see. That's why I like this next one. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, so we'll discuss about PC later. But all right, so
fucking countries are great.
Holy shit. Okay, so now this one hit the list, and we were laughing, especially when I saw it the first time. I'm like, holy fuck, this is hysterical. All right, so there was an update. Well, this is an update from a previous podcast. We were talking about loot boxes and how we don't like it. We don't like the fact that they're not giving you odds. You know, it's a way for these 13-year-olds to gamble. We already don't like it. So seeing this just made us laugh. It's hysterical. So loot boxes made it again to the podcast. Fucking crazy. So it turns out that the last Counter-Strike Go update made Belgium and the Netherlands players unable to open loot boxes anymore. And we're going to explain why. Okay, so now they get this update, they download it, right? And they think nothing of it. So usually, like we were just talking about in Microsoft Dolby Vision, you get an update, look, boom, I can watch Netflix fucking in 4K, right? Yeah, it's like, oh shit, this could be new weapons or a new map. So they download the fucking thing. And then guess what? They try to open their loot box, and you had a lot of mad 14-year-olds because they could not open a loot box. So it turns out that in the Netherlands and in Belgium, they have passed a law that says loot boxes are illegal. It's a form of gambling, and they do not want it in their country or have anything to do with their kids in their country. Oh my God. So now you got a lot of 14-year-olds that are pissed off. That's for sure. Do you think it's going to slow down Counter-Strike? You think that people are going to stop playing? No. They're going to.
A lot of people that were really into it fucking hated it.
Right. Even people that are playing professionally don't give a fuck about loot boxes.
Because some people that get into it exploit the system.
Right.
So that's what I mean. So that's what gets people extremely frustrated.
Exactly. So now, like, these loot boxes, just a little update, is like they're giving you certain skins for your weapons, and then these 14-year-olds are converting it to some sort of currency, and they're selling off the skins that they get randomly. But now, what's happening is it's coming out more and more that, okay, Blizzard, or I don't remember who's the developer behind Counter-Strike. I forget.
I don't think it's Blizzard.
It's not Blizzard. I was thinking of like
Destiny and Overwatch and stuff like that.
Right, yeah. So let's just say it's Blizzard, for instance. You know, they're not releasing any odds of like, okay, to get this AK-47 with the zebra print or whatever the fuck it is 1 out of 1,000. So you know that, like, okay, it's going to take a lot of dollars to buy these loot boxes to get the 1 of 1,000 AK-47. They don't release odds like that. And I watched another podcast, I don't remember which one, but they were saying that, like, if it wasn't for China getting the odds on a different company, they would have no idea of what the odds would be to get some of this shit. So it's a bad form of gambling. It's not only gambling, but it's a bad form of
Yeah,
gambling.
the house is winning big time. Huh?
House is winning big. They're just taking your fucking money no matter what. And these 14-year-olds, they don't fucking know. They have no idea that this is
Oh,
a
it's not
bad
their
thing.
money.
Right, it's daddy's credit card. Who fucking cares? You know, like, I'm sure the parents were not happy. But now, what's good is Belgium and Netherlands, they do this. It becomes in the news, and then it gets awareness. So now, if this is all over the BBC, you never know. Next would be London, and then Spain, and then Russia, and then the United States and South America, and before you know it, the whole fucking world is banning loot boxes.
You did better than you did last time.
I know. Last time I was like, Europe and Spain. It's like
You said Europe. It's like the rest of Europe and Portugal. They're like, Portugal is Europe, dude.
Holy
But anyway,
shit! I botched that out. That's so funny.
That's why he didn't release it, guys. That's why I wouldn't release that shit. There's too many fuck ups on it.
Yeah, you can only say keanau, reeves too many times.
But we know they're not gonna stop that from being opened here. But again, maybe they should just learn these gaming companies. But again, we think they're stupid, but yet they're making killing money on it. They're making killer money on it too.
Shit, they're making money all day on that. So
there's a lot of games that you buy stuff with real money, or that people will then sell for in-game currency.
Right, and that's
except they have to find a way to control the market, and that's something they do, because I told you used to play World of Warcraft. That's something they do in that game.
Right,
you can buy a token that gives game time. But you know what? Some kids can't afford game time, even though it's $16 a month. So they will bust their ass to make what the game decides is enough gold, and use the in-game currency to buy a token from me, let's say, so they can get their monthly subscription. Exactly. And I don't give a fuck, because $16 is nothing to me. So, and then that's how it works. But in this shit, they were just going ham. These kids were buying like
going nuts,
hundreds and hundreds of dollars on these things, and then selling them to people.
Well, now this is the thing. So now the actual gambling portion of this, where they're selling it for currency, is against the terms of services. But the company doesn't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're saying like, oh, you can't be selling your stuff off for in-game currency. I mean, you can't be selling your stuff off for real world currency, but it happens anyway. And the update from a previous podcast was we were talking about the ESRB and how they're making parents aware of the loot boxes. Because now, during that podcast, we were saying like, oh, like your kid is quiet in his room. Oh, he wants something for the game, just give him a card and keep him quiet. And that's bad parenting on the first part of that. But, it's like they're not telling their parents. He gets
1 month worth of bills. I'm going to see it before I pay it. Then he's fucked. Like, I never get that. Like when somebody's like, they racked up 10 grand, let's say, in charge for anything, for charges in a year. Like, how the fuck did you not check after 1 month and make you little shit? Like, I would then break his console in front of him. Like, you see that? You see that shit. That's what happens when you fuck with my money.
Right.
And I make the kid cut my lawn for the next 10 years.
This is exactly why we don't have kids over here.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I digress. But yes, it's bullshit.
It is bullshit. I'm just happy that this is. Hopefully, what I'm saying is it's like a snowball effect. Now, everyone, it's going to just keep going through different countries and eventually get here. So let's hope to see that's what happens, and we'll leave that at that. That was a great fucking topic. All right, so last topic here is we're going to be talking Dan getting a new rig for the PC.
Yeah, buddy.
Why he wants to upgrade his PC, and what it's going to take to get it up to par. Now, before we start this topic, do you want to discuss I Love ROMs? You want to talk about that, or not?
You can say it real quick. Go ahead. Yeah, because I'm not going to be that long into my console itself. It's just a little side thing.
So we'll do a two-part topic. So now, this has been all over the news the last couple days, all right? Dan hasn't got to really read up on it because it didn't really hit the topic list. So what happened is, Nintendo is suing Love ROMs. I think it's I Love ROMs or Love ROMs.
I think that is Love ROMs. Yes, I thought it was.
Something like Love ROMs. And, it's one of these illegal websites, really. It's an illegal... Well, it's not... The website's not illegal, but what you're doing is illegal. You're distributing software that's... They're pretty much giving out this software that they do not own. So you're downloading these games that you have not purchased, and you're keeping those files and those ROMs for yourself, obviously. And then some people, they create repros and they sell it and they come onto the market. So there's a lot of bad things that are happening from it, but there's some good things that are happening from it also. So it's a sad situation that they're going to be like something. I think it was like some crazy number, like over $100 million in debt coming from this lawsuit because Nintendo did not play. They are suing them from like over 140 properties that are first party. And I don't know about the third party. I didn't do a lot of research because I didn't think it was going to make it on the topics. But just from their first party games alone, they're suing them for the logo, the actual property itself. It's against the terms of services. It's a sure thing that they're going to win this because it's their property and they go hard on their stuff because they're selling their stuff on the virtual console. You know what I'm saying? So like all those NES games you are able to get on the Switch, and on the Wii U you were able to download all random titles, stuff from the N64 and the fucking Super Nintendo. So they're trying to stop that from happening. They don't want them to distribute their games anymore for free. They want to make money on it. In a sense, they're really greedy. Now, to me, I don't mind the lawsuit because, at a collector's point of view, these guys, not everybody's doing preservation. You know, like, okay, you download the whole NES library, let's say, for instance. A lot of people aren't just downloading it to preserve it. They're downloading it so that they can make repros and sell them at conventions or on eBay. One of the podcasts I watch from Pat Contry, they do Scumbag Seller of the Week. And I want to say 90% of the time, it's somebody selling ROMs. And that's illegal.
Yeah. No, that part of it I agree. 100%.
So I agree with that.
Has all the games. I like that concept. Like I told you, I would pay if they told me like it's $100, like you said, to look. Here's your little. It looks like a Nintendo, but they refurbished it so it has the HDMI. They're like every single Nintendo game's on this. $100, I would buy it.
Exactly.
I wouldn't go try to download it for free from the ROMs. I'm the type of person I would fucking buy it because that would be really cool.
Right.
To have every Nintendo game, and then I don't need, like you said, my fucking wall of goddamn games that like try and keep it. So that's awesome what they do that, but I don't like is like you said, is somebody that refurbishing trying to make money off it. Fuck you.
Right. Now it goes both ways though. Like a good thing from ROMs is like if you were to get it illegally, let's say it's a game that's really expensive, over $500. Maybe it's an RPG that's increased in value over time, and you wanted to go on there and check it out before you made a purchase. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, that's a lot of money you're about to spend on a game. You should damn well know that you want it before you buy it. So that's why it's a good thing. I think that being able to get the ROMs, if you don't own the game, is good for preservation also. I wrote an article about this a while back, and it's actually, like, I left it open-ended in the article because it has its good things and it has its bad things. So, to me, I feel mixed feelings on it. But they actually stole the BIOS. There's like, you know, the disk system BIOS and the Satellaview Japanese satellite Super Nintendo BIOS. Like, you can get a lot of different shit on that website, apparently. So, it's interesting. And they don't just have Nintendo and Super Nintendo. I think they had, like, N64 and GameCube. And it's spanning over generations of Nintendo products. And I'm sure that's not the only thing they have on there. I'm sure they probably have other systems. But, like, you know, you think of stuff like the Panasonic 3DO. Who the fuck is going to get a complete, you know, physical system on the Panasonic 3DO? You know, like
they do, I guess. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So, like, in certain situations, I guess it makes sense to have the ROMs, but it's all how you're doing it, and there's a lot of gray area on it. So be careful if you're downloading something. Like, I'd feel bad for the 13-year-old that can't play Counter-Strike Go anymore because he can't get loot boxes and goes and downloads half the Super Nintendo library and he gets fucked. You know, like.
Yep.
So it's interesting. Interesting stuff. So that's really where I'm at like that. Maybe we could do an update next week so I can get some more information. Like I said, they had the BIOS for a few different systems. They had a lot of different properties. And yeah, Nintendo could sue for a lot of the first party stuff. But the third party stuff has nothing to do with them. And then another thing is a lot of the third-party developers from back then, like NES, and even some Super Nintendo, uh, developers aren't even around anymore to fight it. So it's interesting. It's interesting, and we'll see where it goes. But we're talking like over $100 million. I think it was like $500 million or something that they're getting sued for because it was a predetermined amount for each property that they are distributing online.
Holy shit! Well,
They are fucked. So we'll talk more about it next week on the 20th episode because that's definitely a good topic to continue on to talk about. But let's talk about your new rig. So tell these people why you want to update your PC.
well, for me, there's games coming out like we saw. Like there's some PC games, and there's some games that I won't be playing on my Xbox, but I can play some of them on the PC. I've always had a little bit of my PC games. Some of them I used to play way back when. Whether it was Warcraft, whether it was Diablo, stuff like that. But
Right.
even when I looked a little bit at Fallout, and I'm looking at other games that my brother-in-law is pushing me, some of them being VR. I don't
Right.
know if I'm going to get so far into that just yet. But it's been a while since I upgraded my computer. So I was saying this to Jeremy, and why I like this concept is that I can pick and choose what it is I want to upgrade.
Right.
So what I actually did was I ran a program. I think anybody can download it. It's like called CPU ID.
Mhm.
Z. And what that does is it tells me the specs of everything in my computer. So this program is going to let me know what my processor is. It's going to let me know what my hard drive is. It's going to let me know how much RAM I have. It's going to let me know what my memory is. It's going to tell me how much I can overclock any of my graphics cards to, how much my graphic card can handle, so on and so forth.
Right.
So my computer is probably, if I had to guesstimate, 2.5 to 3 years old as far as everything that's in it. I came right into it. I got the last I have an Intel 7 processor in there. I did have an SSD drive, so it's a solid state drive for anyone
That's
that
good. Yeah.
doesn't listen. So what that does is there's little moving parts, so it tends to be a lot more flow.
It's
I
like
also have a secondary hard drive in it as well,
right.
which will only, so the way it works is the SSD, whatever game I'm actively playing.
Start. Go ahead.
All right, so we just got it broken up there for a second, but what I was
Sorry.
talking about was a solid state drive, and
Right.
what that allows me to do is to play my games more fluidly as they process through the gaming system. But the thing that I was upset about is that I'm right now currently running with a 960 um, video card. I run
Right.
with the GeForce, usually go with the EVGAs all the time,
Mhm.
but for this particular part, I wanted to upgrade that because these games are becoming clearer and clearer, and my monitor has the capability of playing in really high resolution.
Right.
So the first thing I'm gonna upgrade, and again, I'm taking all my old stuff and I'm giving it to my brother, so he has something to play. As far as how he's gonna get it in Florida, that's up to him. But I'm gonna remove my 960. I'm gonna remove my RAM and give it to him. I'm gonna remove my power supply.
Right.
I have a
Right.
500 watt. I think it'll be fine. I think I could use it. I think I really could, but I know my brother's is dog shit in his older tower, and I don't think it'll be able to even handle the 960. I don't know what he has in his, maybe a 300. Who knows? It's huge. I'm looking at it now, and I'm not even sure what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll most likely upgrade that, and that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to put in either a 1060 or a 1070 Ti, go with the EVGA GeForce again, swap that in, change out my power supply, give myself my 16, maybe 32 gigs of RAM. I don't know how much I want yet, and then I'm just going to flow from there. I was contemplating going with another motherboard if I really wanted to, or a hard drive if I really wanted to go with an i8, but
Right.
it's over the top. And pretty much the whole point of this whole thing when me and Jeremy talk about it is that this allows, I can customize this how I want. Now, if I want to go 1080 Ti, the brand new fucking gaming card, yeah, I can spend $900 on that, and that's ridiculous. I could also go 1060 if I decide to. I'm a few generations behind, and they cost $300.
Exactly. So I mean, they both have their advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, we are coming very close to everything becoming like a PC anyway. What's
Yep.
good about the PC is if you buy a particular motherboard with a socket for your CPU, and then you obviously swap out your GPU when something new comes along, or
Yep.
the whole thing changes again. You're able to upgrade it at your pace. You don't have to go out and buy a fucking another $800 console.
Well, the
That's gonna
$800
just,
console, yep.
right.
That's what it's going to cost. We know that. That's what's going to
Exactly.
happen. Like, when they come out with a new Xbox, a new PlayStation, my Xbox One X becomes completely insignificant.
Right.
It becomes a paperweight, and I get a new one. Okay, so yes, I tend to hand mine down. I give them to my little nephews or anybody that can use them, and the same thing I'll do with my computer pieces. I'll give them to that. I mean, obviously, I could run two computers if I really wanted to,
Right, right,
but for me, I like the computer. Sometimes I like to play on the computer. That's just something I like to do.
right.
I like to play with. I got my Naga High 10. It just depends on what it is I want to mess around with, and I just
Exactly.
like the idea of getting. You can get some crazy games on the PC too.
Right.
But I'm not gonna lie. I also because I point if people that aren't watching towards my Xbox One X, I do enjoy the console as well. There are
Exactly.
certain games, like for instance, when Kingdom Hearts comes out, that is not a game, even if it was on the PC, that I would fucking play on my PC.
Right.
I need to fucking lay in bed with my goddamn 900-page official fucking guide next to me. I need to
Exactly.
fucking veg out for hours. That's just how I like to play certain
Right.
things.
And like we said, you could always hook up your PC to the computer, but it takes a little bit more effort to
Or
get
to
the
the,
games
I could take my
going.
tower and put it to my TV if I really
Right.
wanted.
So, it has its advantages and disadvantages of the PC, but at the end of the day, that's where it's going either way.
I think
So,
it's good to always have both. You always want to have an option. And the
right.
PC, like you just said, is so important. I can buy my Xbox One X and have that. Now that I've owned that for a while now, I don't even know. I think I bought it before Christmas. It's like
Right.
7, 8 months, so it's not that long for as long as it's been out. But now I'll mess around with my PC and upgrade things slowly. And
Right.
then I'll
Right.
go like when the new console comes out, but I'm not killing myself. And that's the whole point. I'm not going to
Exactly.
always have this. I might spend. I do some overtime, so I know I already paid it off. I might spend like $400 getting everything into my computer. Then I might find like, oh man, this just runs a little bit slower than I
Right.
want it.
And then you're going to
Maybe
change something.
I will get the i8 Intel. That's $400, but I'll wait a couple of months and get it.
Exactly.
And it's not like I have to just make that giant purchase of the console right there on the spot.
Exactly, because the console you're getting everything at once, and you're gonna have no choice but to buy the new one because you can't upgrade it, and that's why the PC is a better route because you can upgrade it as you go. And honestly, this is probably going to be the last generation of console anyway. They're gonna have to offer you a way to upgrade it, or else they're gonna lose a lot of people to the PC either way, and
I
that's
talked
just
to, I talked
right.
to my brother-in-law a lot about it. Like he's big, older obviously than me. I think he's about to turn 50 in December, but he's a huge he's the one that bought me my first we joke, me and my brother. He came over when he was dating my sister after 6 months before they got married and brought us Super Mario Brothers 3.
I know
And he said he was in the family right on the spot. We would have married him. I mean, we were like 5 and 8.
Oh my god.
But
So
he
funny.
plays a lot of games, and that's one of the critiques. We always get whenever we have discussions when we get together, we always talk about that. Like he loves the consoles. I mean, the guy's got every single one.
Right.
He's got his Xbox. He does not have the X or the Pro. He never went that route. But he has the PS4. He has the Xbox One. He has the Wii. He has the
Yeah. So I mean, if he
he's got
wants
everything.
to,
But he also his console his PC is fucking ridiculous. But he loves VR.
right.
That's his thing.
And that's really where we're at with it. It's like VR. Some of these consoles can handle it, but not really. Like the
Not
PS,
like what this shit is.
not like that. Exactly. So that's really what it is. So it's a good thing that you're upgrading the PC. So obviously, once you start buying these parts and stuff, and you get it going, you could explain to our listeners later on just how well it's serving its purpose.
Exactly. And putting it together is not as bad. I have the luxury. That's what my brother-in-law does for a living. Also, one of my brothers does as well. They're both,
Right.
excuse me, like IT guys. So they're big into that. So
Yeah,
I
so
have
you're
the luxury of them, but I like them walking me through it as far as putting it together.
Yeah,
Because
then,
God forbid, like I said, honestly, I'm weird. People make fun of me. I'll take it apart a little bit and clean it. Like
right.
when I say clean it, I vacuum it out with like a brushed vacuum. I'm not going to go in there and fucking obviously never use any sort of fucking cleaner on the inside of your computer. But nowadays, I did that to my last PC when I had to upgrade this. There's holes in our cases now because you want fluid aeration is extremely important, keeping everything cool. So to get a lot of dust, you clean it out. But there's also a downside to that when you drop a bottle of water, and I landed it in mine and blew out my motherboard doing that. And then what sucks is I couldn't take anything from that PC because you can't trust.
Right.
How do I know,
You don't know
that if I bought a brand new set of everything, I was like, I'll keep the $100 power supply. That was wet too. Put it in, it blows out everything else.
Exactly. So yeah. So obviously you're gonna have to have some issues having to shape the parts, but it's good. It's a good thing to have it, and I'm glad that you're making that stride into that because I'm probably going to do the same after I pick up the Pro. The next thing that I purchase after the Pro is going to be PC because that's where we're going, and we know that. So let's leave it at that. We'll give an update for your rig once you get everything together and start
It'll
buying
be a
some
couple
stuff.
of weeks before I have everything settled.
Right. So maybe on future podcasts we could talk about some of the different parts and do a little show and tell. All right.
Right. This is my tower.
This is my tower. This is my fucking graphics card. All right. So that's it for the Assassin Cast for the week of July 15th, 2018. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My computer's been having a lot of trouble. We're fixing it as we speak. Do not worry. But that's it for this podcast. So I'm Jeremy Malspina. That's my man Dan McCarthy. We're signing out.
Peace out, bitch.
Peace, bitches.